So, 1,000 men went into the swamp, 20 men come out, crocodiles took the rest, February 24th, 1945. Now that's what you'd expect to be hearing from a survivor of the infamous Ramree Island Massacre, where nearly 1,000 Japanese soldiers were eaten by crocodiles, right? Welcome to the Pacific War Channel, where we cover the entire history of the Asia-Pacific War of 1937 to 1945, and all the major events that led up to it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to help this little channel grow amongst the big boy channels. Today we are jumping into the myth of the Ramree Island Massacre. Let's find out what exactly happened. In 1945, the 15th Indian Corps was performing a major offensive to push the Japanese out of the southern Burma front. After capturing ACAB, Major General Henry Chambers' 26th Indian Infantry Division was given the task of invading Ramree Island, which held a Japanese airfield. The Forgotten Army, that being Lieutenant General William Slim's 14th Army, were advancing through central Burma and soon to be past the range of Allied airfields in Nepal and Agartala. Thus, the Allies needed to secure some new forward airfields. The 26th Indian Infantry Division were given orders to invade Ramree Island on January the 14th. D-Day was to be set for the 21st. British intelligence indicated the 2nd Battalion 121st Infantry Regiment of the 54th Division, led by Colonel Kan'ichi Nagazawa, were garrisoning Ramree Island, supported by a few artillery and engineer detachments. The plan was to amphibiously assault Kyakpu at the northern point of the island, close to its airfield. Intelligence showed the Japanese had set up artillery and cave defenses facing the beaches. A British naval force with RAF support would bombard the island prior to the landing and the forces on the beaches. The HMS Queen Elizabeth, Phoebe, B-24 Liberators, B-25 Mitchells, and Republic P-47 Thunderbolts bombed and strafed the Japanese defenses, while the forces were landed on the beaches. The landing at Kyakpu went unopposed, seeing the 4th Indian Infantry Brigade, led by Brigadier J.F.R. Foreman, form a beachhead. The next day, Kyakpu was occupied, and on the 23rd, the 71st Infantry Brigade began advancing south along the western coast, reaching Yambakchung by the 26th. There they began clashing with the forces of the 2nd Battalion 121st Regiment. After a few days of battle, the 71st Brigade advanced further inland towards Ramree town, while the 4th Brigade held down the Japanese forces around Yambakchung. The Japanese put up resistance as best as they could, but on February the 1st, a Royal Marine force that had invaded the nearby unoccupied island of Chiduba came to Ramree, outflanking the Japanese at Yambakchung. The 900 surviving Japanese at Yambakchung abandoned their position and decided to march across the interior of the island to join a larger force of Japanese. The only problem with this was the route they were forced to take. Psst. Hey you ever hear me talk about some great Pacific War movie or documentary like Pearl Harbor Minute by Minute over on Netflix and feel the urge to watch it for yourself? Uh-oh, you live in Japan, and your Netflix doesn't have it? Must suck to be you.
Sucks to be me right now.
Oh wow, Season 4 of Demon Slayer is out. Oh wait, I can't watch it on Canadian Netflix, but it's over on Japan Netflix? Whatever will I do?
Oh, no.
Being blocked from regional content? With private internet access, you too can watch Demon Slayer Season 4 by switching your IP address to Japan.
Yes! Hell yeah!
Why stop with Japan? With private internet access, you can change your IP address to over 84 different countries and every single US state, giving you access to region-restricted content all over the world.
Nice.
Many websites and services like Netflix are only accessible depending on your physical location, but private internet access helps you overcome these restrictions. Think about it, without private internet access, it's like paying for a TV series and missing out on the latest season. Shots fired, Demon Slayer on Canadian Netflix.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Ever fear people are gonna find your Google searches?
Banzai! Banzai! Banzai!
FBI, open up!
Private internet access makes sure that those Google searches remain a buried secret, as private internet access encrypts your internet access and has a no logs policy. Think you're safe with the local coffee shop's free Wi-Fi? No, you are certainly not. Private internet access gives you more privacy features than any other software and real-time protection from malware and trackers, giving you peace of mind knowing those Google searches remain seen by you and you alone. Private internet access has a no-log policy that they've defended in court, which means they are not storing any of your browsing data. Hey, are you like me using different devices under one household? Private internet access is available on all platforms and protects an unlimited amount of devices at the same time. I personally use private internet access to unblock movies and TV series from all across the globe, and I sleep easier writing scripts for my YouTube channel and others knowing my data is secure. Look, this is a no-brainer. Sign up with my link in the description of this video to get 83% off, plus 4 months for free, so it ends up being only around $2 per month. Signing up for private internet access is risk-free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and 24/7 customer support is available. So don't forget to click www.piavpn.com/The Pacific War Channel, and a big thanks to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video. The Japanese marched through the interior mangrove swamplands, going roughly 10 miles to get to the other side. While they went through this, the Allies encircled the area, effectively trapping them inside. To make matters worse, the 71st Indian Infantry Brigade reached the town of Ramree by February the 7th, where they clashed with other units of the 2nd Battalion of the 121st Regiment. Joined by the 4th Indian Infantry Brigade, the Allies pushed the Japanese out of the town by the 9th, forcing the Japanese into the interior swamplands. The trapped Japanese hoped to escape via riverways, but the Royal Navy and land forces concentrated on blocking every entry point to the sea. The Japanese attempted sending 40 smaller vessels out to rescue the trapped men, but could not break through the blockade. By February the 22nd, the blockade was finally lifted, and it's estimated around 500 Japanese managed to get away, with only 14 men captured. So what happened to all the Japanese who never escaped the swamps? One of the most enduring accounts given about the fate of those Japanese comes from a Royal Canadian Lieutenant Commander named Bruce S. Wright. That night was the most horrible that any member of the ML, motor launch crews, ever experienced. The scattered rifle shots in the pitch-black swamp, punctured by the screams of wounded men crushed in the jaws of huge reptiles, and the blurred, worrying sound of spinning crocodiles made a cacophony of hell that has rarely been duplicated on Earth. At dawn, the vultures arrived to clean up what the crocodiles had left. Of about 1,000 Japanese soldiers that entered the swamps of Ramree, only about 20 were found alive. Bruce was working as a Reuters war correspondent and was the leader of a frogmen unit. His job was to perform reconnaissance. Bruce also spent hours documenting sea life, such as sharks and octopus. I never understood the plural for that one.
We can keep our oceans clean for octopuses, which, yeah, is the preferred plural term over octopi. Trust me, I know.
After World War II, he became a famous wildlife biologist and author. In fact, the passage I just read came from his 1962 book, Wildlife Sketches Near and Far. His story was picked up by a conservationist and scientist named Roger Karras, who wrote a book titled Dangerous to Man in 1964, where he called the Ramree battle one of the most deliberate and wholesale attacks on man by large animals that is on record. Karras would state later he based his claims all off Bruce, but there is a major problem with this. Bruce never saw nor heard crocodiles eating people. He based his work on claims from boat crews blocking the riverways. Bruce's role on Ramree was pretty limited. He performed coastal dives and amphibious beach reconnaissances prior to the invasion. He was not, quote-unquote, in the thick of it. So what really happened to those poor Japanese stuck in the swamps? It's estimated roughly 500 Japanese out of the original 1,000 were able to escape the swamp hell. This is backed up by Japanese military archives. That leaves 500 other Japanese unaccounted for. In the 1990s, a British writer, Bill Potts, interviewed British, Indian, Japanese, and local Burmese about the event. Basically, no one ever mentioned a single thing about crocodiles. In 2000, American herpetologist Stephen Platt went to Ramree Island as part of a National Geographic investigation, and he interviewed Burmese historians and some local villagers. Some of the villagers had been conscripted by the Japanese as porters and ventured into the swamps with them. One gave this account. Fresh water was unavailable and the soldiers were forced to drink brackish water, which resulted in severe dehydration. Dysentery and other diseases were rampant among the Japanese, and many succumbed to these privations. According to many of the villagers, the majority of the Japanese died to dehydration, exposure, lack of food, malaria, and other diseases. But what about those horrifying sounds from the passage? The boat crews had to have seen or heard something. According to British military records, on February the 18th of 1945, hundreds of Japanese soldiers were seen trying to make a daring escape by swimming across the channel separating Ramree Island from mainland Burma. This was during the blockade, when Allies were firing upon 40 smaller craft sent by the Japanese to save their comrades. According to the military report, except for a few swimmers, it's doubtful that any survived the crossing. It's estimated that at least 100 Japanese were killed or drowned that night. 200 killed is regarded as a conservative estimate. About 40 loaded boats were known to have sunk. Possibly another 50 Japanese died in the mangrove from exposure and want of food and water. 14 prisoners were taken. Well, alright, but come on, where are the crocodiles in all of this?
Well, we're waiting.
There are basically only two accounts of crocodile attacks. One comes from a local villager Stephen Platt had interviewed. He claimed 10 to 15 Japanese soldiers were attacked by crocodiles while fording the Minchang, a tidal creek near Ramree town. There was also an account given by Bruce that two of his frogmen were forced to abandon their paddleboards and frantically climb up a mangrove tree to avoid a large crocodile. Up in the tree, the two men said, "They heard shouting and rifle fire during the night far from the Allied position. Vultures often appear over areas British forces have never reached. The Japanese did not die from crocodiles alone, but also from thirst and wounds." Alongside this, Lieutenant General Slim also recounted in his memoirs that a number of Japanese were seen falling victim to sharks in channels between Ramree Island and the mainland, by British boat crews trying to save them, or more likely they just shot them. And of course, when the Allies were performing mop-up operations, what do you think they saw when looking for dead Japanese bodies in a swamp? Of course, a few crocodiles were seen feasting on them, but how many? As pointed out by Frank McLuhan in the History of the Burma Campaign, the claims of hundreds of Japanese being eaten by crocodiles. If thousands of crocodiles were involved in the massacre, how had these ravening monsters survived before, and how were they able to survive later? Ramree Island, like any ecosystem, can only support so many predators, and the possibility of such an isolated island having thousands, if not hundreds of crocodiles is extremely unlikely. It seems the myth of the Ramree Island Massacre was the classic case of exaggeration and simple tall tales. As we have seen, there were some accounts of crocodile and shark attacks to add some evidence, but they are quite small in scale. Instead of 980 men dying in a single horrifying night of crocodilian warfare, it is highly likely 500 Japanese had perished over a period of several weeks by Allied bullets, disease, drowning, hunger, and perhaps some animal attacks. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this rather bizarre mystery episode. If you want more content like this or have some cool ideas for some future content, let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel so I can keep these little birds fed. This has been the Pacific War Channel, over and out.